Good morning, Veterans Brigade. This is Jeff along with Summer, Matt, and we have a very special guest today, Sophia Burnell, who on September 5th of 2022 will turn 101 years young. So, folks, we have got a plethora of worldly experience and also military history, if you will. So welcome, Sophia.
Welcome to you too. It was nice to meet you.
So we were just talking right before the podcast started, and we're gonna kick it off in 1941. How old were you in 1941?
19 years old.
Just a young lady. Wow, 19. I remember when I was 19. That was a long time ago. All right, so 1941, where are you at?
I was working in a grocery store as a clerk. And that's when Pearl Harbor happened.
Wow.
So I was a air raid warden for my district for a while.
Now this is in your hometown?
In my own little town.
Which is where is that?
In Elwood City, Pennsylvania.
Okay, in Pennsylvania. All right.
Yeah.
And you were what's an air raid?
Air raid wardens
What's that?
were watching the skies for enemy planes.
So, in 1941, you're a store clerk, and you're an air warden. Was the world already? Yeah, the world was already at war, right?
The world was in war. Germany was really raping the center of Europe, and
what was the mindset of the country back then before Pearl Harbor?
they were all worried about the war, but they did not want to get into it.
So not our fight, basically.
It was not our fight, but Stalin and Churchill were trying to get the United States in to help them fight the Germans.
Kind of like they do now. We're in Ukraine. We're all over the place.
Yeah.
Politicians never change.
Yeah.
So the country's mindset was we don't want any part of this, but we're precautionary in that we have air
raid wardens.
Air raid warden. That's a heck of a title. So what did you have to do as an air raid warden?
Well, at night you walked your beat and made sure that there was no lights showing. Everybody had to have their blinds down or the lights out. And it was my job to make sure that they did keep their, blinds down and no lights.
Light discipline.
Yes.
So we're making civilians in 1941. We're making civilians turn their lights off and keep their blinds on.
Yes.
Wow. And what would you do if somebody had their lights? Go have to go knock on their door or something?
Yes, I would knock at the door and tell them that they could not let the light shine.
Did you ever have to bounce anybody out on their head that didn't want to listen?
No, I didn't have
So they all listened to you pretty good, huh?
Yeah, that's right.
All right, so 1941 air raid warden. Okay, so how do we go from air raid warden to Women's Army Auxiliary Corps?
Well, we were in 1941. Everybody was helping in the war, and we had ration books with coupons in them. You could not get any meat, cigarettes, and a lot of articles unless you had a stamp.
And this is because of the war?
Yes. The cigarettes would have to be sent to the soldiers, and our silk stockings we had to give up because they needed nylon and silk to make parachutes for the soldiers. So we were pretty well,
So even though you weren't physically fighting a war as a civilian, you were still contributing to the effort.
Yes.
Not like today's spoiled Americans that just take everything for granted and don't want to sacrifice anything.
Right.
That truly was the greatest generation.
You are a part of the greatest generation. How does that feel?
Well, actually, it doesn't bother me at all until somebody else says, "Oh, you're important."
Very humble. Very humble.
Yes.
All right, so December
So-
7th, 1941, a day that will live in infamy. Where were you on that day, and what were you doing, and what were your thoughts?
Well, I was working in a grocery store, and I wanted to help all I could. So that's why I joined in the air raids. And after 43, we, the cop hobby, tried to organize the Women's Army Auxiliary Corps. She was looking for volunteers. So I thought I would want to do more than what I was already doing. I didn't want the Japanese to come in our soil after they ruined Hawaii there.
Amen.
I-
You took
I
a
just-
stand.
I didn't want them coming, on the mainland. So I said, anything I can do, I'll help. So when they organized the Women's Army Auxiliary Corps, I took a day afternoon off from work and told my boss that I was going to get my glasses changed. And I went and took a test in Newcastle, Pennsylvania. It was a time test, and I hurried up through that and got done so I could get back to work. And the sergeant says, "Are you done already? You got plenty of time." I said, "Yes." He looked, he said, "I'm amazed you have a very good score." So
And
I
quickly.
Pardon me?
And it was quick, too.
Yeah.
You don't mess
I-
around.
and-
You take care of business.
I ended before time was up. I went back to work and didn't say anything because I thought, I'm never going to qualify for this. So in a couple of days, I got notice. Yeah, I had to go to Pittsburgh and get my mental and physical test. So I went.
So the recruiter contacted you
Yes.
and said, "Okay, Sophia, let's go. You're in."
Yeah.
So far, you got some more obstacles you got to take care of, but
Right.
the test is good.
And the mental and physical test was really, for me at 19, it was embarrassing because it was very personal. But I passed that too. And they said, in 2 weeks, you can cut your apron strings, pack your suitcase with just a few little articles that you need to wear, and board the troop train to go to
In Daytona Beach?
Daytona Beach for basic training.
You went to Daytona Beach for basic training. I went to Fort Sill, Oklahoma. How do you get Daytona Beach? That's
Same.
great.
Same. We got screwed. No.
So from the day you left work till the day you went to Daytona Beach for basic was 2 weeks? It was about 2 weeks?
Right.
Wow, that was quick.
Yes.
Well, I guess after Pearl Harbor, they're like, let's go.
Yeah.
Right, yeah. Okay,
And
national
that
emergency.
racetrack was closed
Yeah,
during the
well,
war.
Right. The racetrack was closed, and our barracks were practically on the racetrack. It wasn't on the beach. I didn't even see the beach.
Yeah. All right, so you remember who was your drill sergeant, or did they have drill sergeant? How did all that work?
Well, when we went to, we were picked up in the Army trucks. If you remember the Army trucks with the big canopy over them,
Yeah, they're probably
And-
probably 2.5 ton or
and
5 ton
and-
truck.
benches on both sides.
Yep, sure. I've rode in those. We still
Yeah.
got. They're still in the arsenal somewhere.
That's what they always picked us up in, and dropped us off where we were supposed to be.
Sure. How many? Now this was so back then. The military was segregated as far as females and males, right?
Right.
So when you got to basic training, how many females were in your platoon company? I mean, however, I don't even know how they broke it down.
There was at least 20 girls in each barracks,
Okay, so 20.
and we had about 1 foot on each side of your bunk. That-
yeah,
that
tight
was
tight
yours.
quarters. Now, did you have male drill sergeants and female drill sergeants, or just strictly
No,
female?
They were all females.
All female. Okay, so
Yes.
it was completely segregated.
Right.
Was it segregated as far as color too?
No,
Nope. So they didn't segregate the females as far as, but they did
no.
the males.
No.
Okay. Okay.
that was an experience for me because I was naive and got to meet all people from all classes.
Sure, that's one of the things in the military, like that even benefits me now. In our ministry, Jonathan's got people coming from all over the world, and I've dealt with people all over the world in different cultures. So yeah, the military is a huge melting pot. So you're meeting from people from all over the country, all different walks of life.
Right, rich and poor, and north and south. And we sort of blended in. We never had any fights, no problem with all the girls in the same room.
You know why that is? Because you were all committed towards a common goal.
That's
you were
right.
all committed towards the defense of our nation, instead of worrying about, I'm gay and I'm a trans and I'm this and I'm that. The tribalism in this world is just destroying our country. But back in 1941, we could take people from all walks of life, and because they were committed towards the same goal.
Yes. Speaking of transgenders and gays, that was my first experience. I was very naive. I didn't know anything about that. But the girl her next bunk was next to mine.
Mm-hmm.
She and I had guard duty down there, which is kind of stupid. We just walked the grounds at night.
Yeah, just looking at each other, right?
Without a gun, without a billy club.
Flashlight. I bet you had
Why
a
are we
flashlight.
walking?
You had a flashlight, right? Looking at
Right.
watching the grass grow.
They were
Been
setting
there
you
many a
females up
times.
for failure, but
Yeah. But
Been
anyhow,
there many a times.
she kept making remarks to me about going to dances with girls and all this. I never thought anything of it till one day my shelf was above her bunk, and I had my toilet articles up there. So I got up on her bed to get it, and she grabbed me and pushed me down on the bed. And all the girls in the room got quiet, and they said, "Don't you know who she is?"
Oh, I think I
didn't know
do
what
now.
she was. So the next morning, I'm looking, her bed's empty. I says, "Where is so-and-so?" "Oh, she's gone."
Right. Yeah,
Yeah.
because listen, that's a distractor. Here you have a
that was inappropriate what you did.
yeah, it was inappropriate, and that's a distraction. You're there for a common reason, the defense of this nation, and there's constant. Even though you were naive at the time, there was constant harassment from this person, which detracts from the mission, and that's the whole point that people don't really understand. The military, as much as it's a melting pot, you need to be mission focused. So here we have a young lady who's mission focused that wants to do anything she can to defend her nation that's being harassed and distracted. Unacceptable. Go ahead.
How many weeks was your training?
We were in there for 6 weeks. We got shots. The first thing is where we got our shots. You walked into this medical building, and there's a medic on one side of the hall and one on the other side. One would grab one arm, the other, boom, boom.
Walk the line. I
Shot,
remember
walk
that.
through.
I remember. Now, did they use the guns or were they shots? The gun.
No,
the
they
gun
were no, they were
needles.
needles.
Yeah,
yes.
I remember when I went through. They actually had the air guns that they put it right to your skin, and if you tense up, it'll cut you. But you just have to stand really relaxed, and they bang bang, and they shoot you in both arms. It was nuts.
Yeah.
It was nuts. Did you guys get to shoot rifles and stuff like that, like marksmanship?
No, that was one thing. I never had any military equipment at all.
So your basic training was just basically military life, like how
Right.
to act and walk and talk
Well,
like a soldier.
Yeah, we had drills every day I think that was for training into discipline
Sure.
and regular routine. And then we went to take tests to see what you qualified for. They would ask you what you wanted to do, but you never got that.
Yeah, that's pretty much still the way it is. I
They
mean,
took
they'll make you
tests.
they'll make you think you got what you wanted, but no, that rarely happens.
Yeah. So I wanted to be an ambulance driver or work in a motor pool. And then we had to test with the headsets on, listening to these dits and daws. Anyway,
Morse code?
your Morse code, trying to figure out if you can understand and separate.
Sure,
them
if you can
and find-
comprehend with it, sure.
copy them. So that's what they decided that I was good at. So they sent us to Kansas City, Missouri, to Midland Radio School, where we had 6 months of training there, learning the Morse code.
Wow.
Now, was this like a civilian school?
Yes. In Kansas City, we arrived at the Union Station in our Florida thin uniforms. And we got there, it was still winter in early April. So the Red Cross came and brought us some green jackets with the 3 CCs on their arm. If you know what the CCC was an organization that FDR organized for young men who were too young to go into service and didn't have any work. They went in through the wood, forest, and cleaned the underbrush, cleaned along the road
Okay.
to get their welfare or whatever. But these jackets were all men's. They didn't fit us very well.
They didn't tailor them for you guys, huh?
And then we had to march from Union Station uptown through about 3 blocks, and I said, boy, did we look nice with these jackets marching up and down the road.
Now, how many were marching?
There was about, I don't know, 15, 20 of us.
So it's all platoon, basically a kind
Yeah,
of a
whole
platoon side element, marching right down the city.
Right down Main Street to the Aladdin Hotel.
The Aladdin Hotel.
And we were housed on the 13th floor, which was the penthouse of that hotel.
nice.
Nice. Well, at least they took care of you. Right.
We had an elevator. They let us take the elevator up, but we had to walk down.
Really? What was it? Did they tell you why?
I don't know why.
Huh. That's weird.
What was the food like?
Because the rest of the hotel was civilian. We were the only ones that were, in there on the 13th floor.
Right.
Did they feed you well, Sophia? Did you eat well?
Our mess hall was in another, at the time, this is right in the middle of the city, was in one of the big buildings there. And that was my first experience with powdered eggs.
Oh. Yeah, they're yummy.
Sounds
aren't
delicious.
They? They're yummy.
They looked green, and some of the girls would put ketchup on them.
Yeah, they are green.
And-
They are green. I've actually had some.
You've
They are
had
green.
some.
Yes.
But outside of that, it was okay.
Yeah.
Anyhow, when
So
we-
6 months.
We were there for, 6 months
Okay.
till,
Now, did you know at that point anything beyond your schooling, or it's just like take it as it comes because we're kind of figuring this out as we go?
we figure it out as we went.
So you get there and you just know you're here for 6 months to get some schooling, and then they'll tell you what's next.
Right.
All right, so
And
you're
you
on
get
a complete adventure.
Then you get your orders, and you don't open them till you get to where you're going. Well, we got on a troop train. And at that time, we had steam trains. They were run by coal, not these trains that you have now.
Steam, wow.
And seats were plain hard, not plush. It was 2 girls to a seat. At night, the back of the seat would fold down into a bed, and one girl would sleep on top, like what is now the luggage compartment,
Yeah.
and the other one downstairs.
How long were you on the train for?
To California, right?
Yes, that's where we're going.
So Kansas City, how long was that? 2 days? A couple days?
Yeah, it was, I think, 3 or 4 days.
3 or
yeah.
4 days
Because it
by
was-
steam locomotive.
Steam-
That's awesome.
We'd stop to pick up water and coal to keep it going, And I remember going across Great Salt Lake.
Mm-hmm.
We stopped there, and they let us get out and look around.
All right, everybody back on. Let's go.
It was like a trestle.
How long were you in Salt Lake? Like minutes or a couple hours or a day? Or?
Yeah, just about an hour to load up the coal and the steam.
So it's just this is just a stop to
Pit stop.
This is just a pit stop. Okay.
We could look around. Well, along the trestle, there were little wires hanging down into the lake, and it says, "Pull one up." Pull it up. They were all different shapes, and it would collect the salt from the lake
Oh, really?
and make a little ornament that they were selling in gift shops.
Oh, that's neat.
So
So you got a little memento from there?
yeah.
Very nice.
Then when we got to, I think it was Wyoming, at the foot of the Rocky Mountains, we stopped again, and what they did was put another engine on the back of the train.
To push it up over the mountains.
Yeah, like one engine's pushing and the other's pulling over.
Now this is kind of spring winter time, right?
Yes,
Going through the Rockies,
yes.
so I mean, there's like that.
We went through Donner Pass. Yes, I got
Nice.
to see that and past.
Wow,
like,
this is quite the adventure. I mean,
past.
and
Like-
no issues going through the Rockies as far as weather, because I mean those storms can come up quick and
No,
just up and through.
we just went through. It wasn't bad.
So the Lord was on your side, getting you through
Yeah.
the Rockies.
Then we came to San Francisco and got off the train. There was these army trucks, convoy waiting for us again. I says, "Where are we going?" "Well, we're going about 50 miles inland to Two Rock Ranch." I said, "What in the world is Two Rock Ranch?" He said, "Well, it is a ranch. It's a working sheep ranch
In Petaluma? Is that how you say
in
it?
Petaluma, California." So we got to the base, and yeah, there were sheep all in the valley and up at the side of the hill where our barracks were. The barracks were all like long buildings. I call them brooder houses. And the sheep are all around there.
And this camouflaged the fact that it was an intelligence gathering facility.
Right, it looked like a sheep ranch. And then the operations building and the school there was a red barn, like the Red Barn Theater.
So this is like some CIA operative stuff going on
Right.
right here, like your top secret business.
right.
So cool.
That's impressive.
Yeah.
So, but you still don't. Do you at this point in time? Do you know what you're getting into?
No, because they said, "You're going to school again." I said, "For what?" "Well, down into the barn. You go to the school." And the school had desks, a row of desks, and what do you call those, keys?
Yeah.
Telegraph keys. Everybody had a telegraph key and a headset. And you were going to school again. And there we learned the Japanese.
I'm just visualizing this right now, man. This is cool. This is cool.
We had to learn the Japanese code, which was different than the Morse code,
Okay.
because our Morse code is ABC, and theirs is like TI, TU, TO, two together. So you had to figure that one out.
So you had to learn a whole different language, basically.
Just about, yes.
Wow.
And you're there to intercept.
Yes. Intercept, what I guess you call it hacking now. I don't know.
Sure. Sure. She was
The original
the
hacker.
pioneer of hacking.
Sophia
We're-
Burnell.
yeah.
Sophia Burnell, a pioneer of hacking. That's great. So you're in this and you're learning this stuff and you're staying at this ranch. How many hours a day are you training? I mean, what's the life like there at the ranch?
We hacked, monitored 24 hours, 24/7
Wow.
on shifts.
On shifts.
So we worked 8 to 4, next week 4 to 12, next week 12 to 8.
Oh, swing shifts. Those are the worst.
And 12 to 8 was a killer.
Yeah, that's
And there's no Coke left, no coffee left. Your eyes are closed, and then you're typing.
Was that the Coke that actually had cocaine in it, Sophia? You don't have to tell me if you don't want.
No, I don't think so. But Coke always woke me up.
I bet it did.
I don't know what it is about Coke. It did.
So you're doing shift work, 8-hour shifts, 24 hours a day. What's your downtime look like
Well, after the 8 to 4,
besides sleep?
we had 12. We had 1 day off. 4 to 12, we had 2 days off. 12 to 8, we had 3 days off. And our trick chief, I guess you'd call them supervisors now,
Okay.
I don't know, he would requisition a truck from the motor pool
Okay.
and some food from the mess hall, and we would go on a trip.
Oh, nice. Any
We'd go on a trip along the river for, not any further than 50 miles away from camp.
Oh, really?
You could never go more than that because in case of emergency, they wanted to be able to get us right back.
So now does your family back home know where you are and what you're doing, or they just know you're in the military?
They knew where I was, and I was in the military, but they didn't know what I was doing.
And you couldn't talk about this to anybody?
No,
Just your people that you were working with.
right.
That's tough. That's tough to keep operational security like that. So I applaud that. That's tough to do because you're doing these amazing things for your country and you're proud, but you just can't talk about it. And I can relate to that. And that's impressive.
So you're decoding, you're teletyping, you're intercepting weather reports. Is that accurate?
It's not weather reports, government reports, and military reports. We had, besides your desk, there was a long high column towards the ceiling. There's 2 shortwave radios in there. The one is tuned into the station that you are to monitor. The other one, you're supposed to be surfing around to see if you can find a new one when your station is off.
Yeah, you're out there combing the waves for anything that's different now, right? Okay.
Then the decoding department would come and take our papers off our typewriters and decode them. They would teletype, which is now faxing probably, the messages to Arlington. And there the warmongers, whoever's setting up the system, would use those to set up their defense and office. So that was one way that we knew what the weather was going to be and what their plans were and what we could do.
Go ahead, Matt. And who did you report this to? I mean, did you report this to your first line supervisor? Or, I mean, like you're gathering all this information. Would you create reports? Did you just like raise your hand? Hey, I got something hot that's over here right now. You need to listen to this, or this is what I just decoded.
We just went and typed what we were taking, and the people from the decoding system would come and take our paper off our typewriter to their department and decode them, and they would be the ones to teletype it to Arlington.
So you're basically just recording everything you're hearing, like with a typewriter or something like that, or
Yes, we have a typewriter.
a typewriter. Ding, ding.
Right.
Okay.
Were your fingers tired at the end of the day?
Not really, because you weren't. It wasn't. They would go off the air for a while, and you'd have to pick them up as they come on.
So you would like start and stop.
Yes, it wasn't constant.
What were some of the things you can hear? Well, of course you can talk about it. Sure, you can talk. What were some of the things you decoded? Something unique.
That stood out.
Yeah,
really.
something that stood out.
I really don't know what. We didn't know what was on those. It was just the decoding department that did
Oh,
it.
so like you're like the middleman.
Right.
So
I just gathered the news and they transcribed it.
Oh, because you didn't understand the language. Okay.
Oh, I see what you're saying. Okay.
This
All
is
right.
in Japanese.
So now, how long are you at this? What was the name of the camp, Summer or Sophie? What was it?
Rock Ranch, right?
Rock Ranch?
Two Rock.
Two
Two
Rock.
Rock.
Two Rock.
Two
I
Rock.
never did see two rocks there either. I expected to.
Somebody stole a rock. And,
So-
in the article you said that some of the men were happy to see you, but some of them weren't when you arrived.
Yeah, before we got there, it was an all-man's camp.
Okay.
And when we came, some of them were glad to see us, but they knew we were there to replace them.
Ooh,
That's
Right,
what we were there
right.
Sorry,
for.
fellas.
Right.
Yeah, so they were kind of,
Some were okay with it. Some were.
some were okay with it and others are not so happy.
Yeah.
That's where I met my husband, too.
Well, obviously, he was one of the ones that was okay with it.
Woo!
Yeah. We all shared the same mess hall, and we're standing in line going in for breakfast, and it's starting to rain. And as I'm going to the end of the line, I says, "Oh my goodness, it's raining, and we're going to have to go way in the back line." And I feel this hand come and grab me and pull me in front of him.
And I know what's going through your mind. Oh, no, it's that girl again.
I says, "I can't do this. I have to go to the end of the line." So after that, we ate together, and
What's his name?
Ernest
What's his name? Okay, Ernest.
James. Yeah.
Now, is it, if I have this correctly, according to the article, you caused his displacement, right? You sent him packing, right? And people were like, "How could you like a guy? How could a guy like this woman, Sophia, that sent him packing? Is this true?"
What?
Yeah.
What? You sent him packing.
Yeah. How could you marry her when she sends you overseas?
She caused his displacement. She
Oh,
caused.
so when you got there, they were taking these men and they were going to send them into combat.
Right. As you were able to, when you learned your code well enough, you
Right.
replace somebody.
Right. Okay. So you're there. You're learning your code. You're developing this relationship with Ernest, and then he goes away. Now at that time, were you guys pretty committed to each other?
Writing letters.
Yes, we did.
Uh-huh.
We wrote letters.
And where did he go?
He went to the Marianas, to Guam.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
That's South Pacific.
Do you know what they were stationed to do? What their orders were? What his orders were in Guam?
Well, they were basically doing the same thing we were, but over there.
Oh, okay.
But he said, you over there, you had snipers trying to get you all the time, so you had to keep your head up every time you went out.
Right.
Where was Guam at all this in the war? What was their deal?
I don't think there was any combat on that island. It's mostly intercepting radio stations. We had one up in Illusions, too.
Right. Now it's kind of like an air base. I'm pretty sure.
Yeah.
It's so.
There's
I mean,
an
it's
air base down there. And
strategic. It's a strategic place now.
I mean, same as up in the Illusions up
Right.
in Alaska.
Right. So you're out there, you're cracking codes. It's 1940 what now? Ernest.
43.
Okay.
Writing love letters,
Writing
cracking
love
codes.
letters.
Oh, yes.
Now you weren't married yet.
No, we didn't get married till
You had to
he
wait
came
till
back.
after the war.
Right.
Okay. So you're strictly dedicated to your country right now. Got Ernest on the side. You know, you guys are sending letters to each other. I love you. Love you. We'll take care of this once the war's over. Right. Country first.
Yes.
Amen. Amen.
Yeah.
Giving each other something to look forward to.
Yeah, sure. That's huge. You know, I mean, I can't even imagine. You know, well, I guess I can imagine because we had September 11th. So Pearl Harbor, September 11th, very similar, I guess.
Yeah.
But I was already in the military when that happened. Mm-hmm. So you actually joined because of that.
I joined because I did want them to come and bomb the United States.
Amen.
I said, if they want to fight, we'll take it back to you.
And we'll fight on your turf,
Yeah.
not ours.
Fight on yours.
Since you started it, right?
Yeah.
So, you're how does all of the? Did you have anything to do with anything to do with Hiroshima or Nagasaki, decoding anything for that, or
I'm sure they did. When they
yeah.
finished,
So you kind of didn't really. I mean, you were just decoding. You didn't really.
I didn't really know.
Very
what-
compartmentalized. Here's your
Right.
little piece of the pie. Do your piece of the pie to the best of your ability. Give it to me, and I'll take it from here.
Right.
Okay.
I didn't know what they decoded. I just typed it down.
Now, how long were you at Two Rock for?
I was in Turok for almost 3 years.
3
wow.
years, 8-hour shifts.
Right.
3 years solid.
Yes.
No vacation.
I had one furlough for 2 weeks.
2 weeks, and where'd you go on that?
I went back home
Back home.
because I wasn't home for the whole
Yeah,
time.
no, I believe me. I know.
Did you get to see Ernest during those 3 years? Did you guys go on furlough at
No.
the same time? No.
No,
Okay.
Just writing letters.
just writing letters. I didn't see him till he was discharged. When the war was over, he came over to pick me up.
From
He was discharged at Indiantown Gap, Pennsylvania. So he had to take a bus from there to Elwood City. And then he walked all the way to my house. He should have called. We could have picked him up.
you wanted to surprise. Did he surprise you?
Yes.
Yeah. See, I know. I understand that.
He was
wanted to
clearing his
surprise you.
head because he
Yeah.
had to ask you something.
Yeah,
Right?
he had to get, he had to get right, a little exercise, get over there and
Yeah,
surprise you.
it was about a mile and a half that he had to walk.
Sure.
And he says, I had to ask people where your house was
So now this is after Japan surrendered, after
after
Germany surrendered. So I mean, this is long. So all right, so let's back up a little bit, and Japan surrendered first, correct?
No, Germany did.
Germany.
And the treaty was signed.
Now, where
in
were you?
May.
Where were you, and what were you doing, and what went through your mind when I guess half the war was over because Germany surrendered?
We concentrated our monitoring on Japan and Russia.
Japan and Russia, but you must have been pretty excited, pleased with at least Germany surrendering.
Yes, we figured we were. Yeah, we figured
Momentum
the war
now,
was
you have the
getting
momentum.
close to an end, and we were going to get to go home.
Amen.
But
I know that
the war in
feeling.
Germany ended in May, and in September, Japan surrendered after we bombed Nagasaki and Hiroshima.
Yeah.
Do you
that's-
remember where you were when Hitler committed suicide? When you found out?
Yeah, I was still in.
She was in
California.
Turok.
You were
working.
still there.
I was still in Turok.
Were you? How did they deliver that news to you?
I don't know where we heard it. I think our what do you call him, CEO, our Master Sergeant,
Yeah.
told us about the
German
German surrender.
Hitler.
Yeah,
And you guys were like, "That's good. We still got work to do."
yeah, we did.
Yeah, I believe me, I can understand that
And
mentality.
nobody shed a tear that
it's
he
not.
he
It's not
off
time. It's
himself.
not time to celebrate yet.
Well, see,
This is
when-
not George Bush landing on the aircraft carrier, declaring the victory over Iraq, and then 2 years of just craziness going on in Iraq. So you realize that there's still another enemy out there, and you still got work to do.
Oh yeah, well, see, we were still copying Japanese. We never copied Germany. Just the Japanese code is all we were concentrating on. So we still had a job to do.
Right. That's great, but we're focused on a Pacific theater.
So how far in were you then when Germany surrendered? In the process.
Oh, we didn't slow down any at all. We just kept on monitoring Japan.
Sure.
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah,
the war's still going on.
We were
Your war hasn't ended.
No, it wasn't. And FDR was president. This was his 4th term.
Right.
That he just took his oath when we beat Japan.
Now, did you get promoted while you were doing this? Did you have was the rank structure? What was the rank structure like in the Women's
Yes,
Auxiliary
I
Army
was
Corps?
in with went in as a buck private and come out as a T5.
Oh,
Tech
wow.
okay. Buck private. I like that. Come here, private.
I had 2 stripes and a T.
Nice.
2 stripes and a T.
2 stripes.
Well earned.
Corporal technician.
Corporal technician.
Yeah.
All right. Very nice. All right. So it's you dropped they dropped, I don't want to say you, but we dropped the bomb on Hiroshima and Nagasaki.
Mm-hmm.
Japan surrenders.
And,
What's the atmosphere where you are when this happens? This has got to be personal for you.
well, everybody was very happy. We thought, well, we're going to go home, but we thought we were going to be there for a while. But it was amazing that after, like I said, the FDR died. He didn't get a chance to sign the peace treaty with Tokyo. Harry Truman was vice president, and he took over, and he's the one that signed the peace treaty with Tokyo. And we thought, well, we'll be here a while. It was amazing. We signed that peace treaty in September, and by January, I was home. February, my husband was home. That's how quickly
So
they dissolved.
less than 6 months.
Yeah,
Less than 6 months. War's
ha-
over. You're home.
and the guys from overseas were home, most of them.
Wow, that's it ain't like it is how it is now. We're over in these places for decades. Wow. So okay, so you're home now. Did you beat Ernest home?
Did I-
Once the war was over, and you got home before Ernest.
Yes, I got home in January. He got home in February.
Okay, so February rolls around. He's trying to surprise you. He doesn't tell you he's coming. He starts walking down the street in February. That's cold. That's cold. Did you answer the door?
Yes, I did. And here's this guy.
And what did you? What? You see him on TV. You see the military units on TV. I can only imagine.
I could see this soldier in his uniform standing out there.
Looking handsome, huh?
Yes. I didn't know what to think. I said, how'd you get here? I walked all the way from oh, yeah? I guess they were used to walking when you're in the military.
Yeah, sure are. So he's there. Did you invite him in, or did you keep him out on the stoop?
No, he stayed with me.
Okay.
And we got married. And after we were married, I went to Maine with him into his hometown.
How long did it take him to propose? From the time you met until the proposal?
It was probably 6 months.
So from the time he got back in February, 6 months later, he proposed?
No, he proposed before he went over.
Oh, we missed
Oh,
that.
oh.
Oh, okay. Well, tell
Okay.
us that.
Yeah,
So you're at the Two Rock. You're training up.
yeah.
This guy grabs your arm. You immediately think it's that girl from back in the barracks, but no, you look and you see it's the guy, and you start to develop a relationship with him. And he proposes while you're at Two Rock before he goes to.
Right.
Oh, he proposed before he left.
Yes.
And how did he do it? Did he get
Well-
down? He like a gentleman, right? Got down on
no,
one knee.
it was
No, he did it like a soldier.
very impersonal. We almost had to
That's
get.
how we do things.
I like you better than even more than I like my mom. I said, what?
That sounds something like what a guy would say. Stumbling there.
Well, yeah.
Compared to his mother. Good
Yeah.
Lord God Almighty.
But I had red hair at the time, and he said his mother had red hair. So I guess that's what attracted us.
So he proposes. You say yes right away. You're like, this is it.
Yes.
Nice.
So you were smitten then.
Oh, yes, definitely.
So he comes back. He's on the stoop. How long after he got back did you get married? 6 months.
You
the
said
time-
6 months.
From the time he was on your front porch, just got back from Europe, and you're already proposed. From that point forward, how long until you were married?
It was just a matter of a couple of weeks.
Oh, a couple of weeks. You guys
Yeah.
were not wasting time. And then you
Yes.
went to Maine.
Yes, then we went to Maine and met his family. And it was quite a change because my home, I had it was like it is now. I had running water, I had electricity, and a nice home. And going back there, I was just like getting off the Mayflower.
Really? No power?
We had to get water out of the well.
Oh wow.
You had an outhouse. You did your washing on a
And all of a sudden, you're like, what did I get myself into?
Yeah. But it was an experience. I didn't mind. I was like I said, I'm starting with Daniel Boone and developing the country again.
Pioneer.
But it wasn't bad because we lived about 50 yards away from a lake,
Oh.
Sebago Lake,
Yeah.
and his uncle, his grandfather, had a house right on the lake, and basically that was all our territory. We could all he said they all spent all their summer down on the beach there.
Sure.
Their mother didn't have to worry where they were. They took a lunch, went down the beach.
Yep. Beautiful.
How many children and grandchildren did because of you and Ernest?
Yeah. I have 4 children, 2 boys and 2 girls.
Nice even mix.
Yeah. But the only problem was there's too much distance between them. I had a girl, boy, and there's 10 years difference between, the
Yeah,
boys and the
yeah,
girls.
yep.
But,
How many followed mom and dad and joined the military? Children and grandchildren.
my husband and I were in the Army. My son and daughter were in the Navy. My granddaughter is in the Army.
She's smart.
Spread out. Yeah, the Army. But Jeff and I are both Army. Matt is Air Force.
Yeah. We pick on him a little bit here and there.
He
We-
put this
we
together,
pick on
though,
him
so we
all.
got to give him credit.
Yeah,
there.
he's our technical guy. He's our media, our technical guy.
Yeah.
And tell us about your meeting with the United Nations.
Oh, yeah, well, I was at Two Rock. Like I said, we had 3 days off on your 12 to 8
Right.
shift. So we could go to San Francisco. There'll be your Army trucks going in there regularly, so we get a ride with them to San Francisco and stay overnight. And the first meeting of the United Nations was at the Civic Center in San Francisco. So the other girl that was with me said, let's go. And we didn't have trouble getting in. We sat through that. There was an ambassador for, I don't know how many countries were there, and they each had a translator with them so that, they were able to communicate with each other. So we stayed through that list for a while, for a couple hours, and then we left.
And you also the Washington, D.C. Museum, for you and your team, you have like memorabilia there, or tell us about that.
After I was married at the time, and I think my husband died. That would be in '92. I had another whack girlfriend that lived in Potomac, Maryland, and I went there to visit with her, and she took me through Washington, D.C. to see all the monuments.
Oh, wow.
They had the WWII museum there. We went there, and they had a computer. As you went in, you registered and gave them all the information about what you did and where you were. And that's still on the computer. Anybody wants to go and visit Washington Monument there.
Was this like the Smithsonian or something like that? Like the
Yes, it was a regular building with all the information about the World War II.
right, and all the equipment that you used, and basically what you guys did.
basically what we did, and I had the screen that you could, you would insert the name that you want up there to see what they had in there, and it would tell you everything that I had told them.
Wow.
Would come up on the screen.
And that's still there today.
Yes, there's probably any whack that was in there. If you pulled up her name, you could probably see all the.
So the WAC, Women's Army, Women's Auxiliary Army Corps,
No,
or Army
Women's Army Corps.
Women's Army Corps. We are.
Yeah, they dropped the 1A, the auxiliary.
Oh, okay.
Oh, they dropped it. Okay.
WAC.
Yeah, because the Army took us over. We were not just an assistant. We were a part of the Army.
Now, did that happen while you were in or after? Part of the Army.
Pardon me?
When you joined, it was the Women's Army Auxiliary Corps.
Yes.
But then they got rid of the auxiliary and they just made it the WAC.
Yeah.
Did that happen while you were in, or did that happen afterwards?
No. I was in for 3 months. I went in March, and in September they dropped the A.
Oh, okay.
So pretty
so,
early
yeah,
on.
So you were in the I guess the technical Army way longer than you were in the Women's Auxiliary Corps.
Right.
Okay, cool.
Right.
I wouldn't be here without Sophia and the
Right,
trail she blazed.
the trail, trailblazer, a pioneer hacker, and a trailblazer.
We have a true hero sitting here for real.
And she was
What
at
an
Service Sunday.
Yes.
She was at Service Sunday, and like, hey, listen, you never know who is gonna come into Revival Today Church. We got war heroes, we got pioneer hackers, trailblazers for ladies.
A brilliant mind, and you served as a chaplain for the American Legion for, if I have it correct, it doesn't say how many years. How many years?
I was in for 10 years, yes.
10 years. So, wow.
I'm still in the Legion, but I'm not a chaplain anymore. I don't know how many legionnaires they have, and I'm sad to say when I go to their meetings now, I'm still welcome, but I don't know any of them there, and very few veterans from the other wars are joining it. I would think that they would be full. I tried to join the Legion when I was in Lynchburg. There were 2 Legion outfits, one about a block or 2 away from where I was living, the other one across town. So my daughter's a veteran from the Navy. We went to the one next to us. We wanted to join. We got in the building. There was 2 people there, the commander and his assistant. And they didn't seem like they were very interested in having us join.
Oh, wow.
So
Their loss.
and they says, I said, well, when are your meetings? I thought, well, maybe the next meeting people will come. So we didn't show up for that. And Harrisburg sends me a note because I was sending my money to Pennsylvania, and staying with this outfit here, 0150. So I stayed with the one in Pennsylvania, Post 157, and I send my dues there all the time.
Nice. Well, there's no dues here to be a member of this brigade, and you are an honorary member, a trailblazer, a pioneer hacker. So,
before anybody knew about hacking.
yeah, right. Yeah, no, you're a pioneer. You created it.
Well, what an honor. The Bible says we're to give honor to whom honor is due.
Amen.
And it's an honor to have you with us today, and obviously a part of the church on Sunday and the Veterans Brigade. We have a top-notch.
Yes.
This is one of the best broadcasts we've had so far.
Absolutely. This the history and the scope of what was done back in the World War II, and for you to be a part of it and still be here with us today and be able to share that with us, it's a blessing and it's an honor, and we thank you from the bottom of our hearts, and I can't wait to see the response that we get from this podcast. I hear about how people love the podcast, so I'm very, very excited to hear about how they received your story. So, Sophia Burnell, thank you from the brigade. Thank you from Revival Today Church for sharing your story and being a part of history and just being a fantastic American. We need more of you now. We need more people like you now more than ever. We need people to put country first, put God first, and just stop all the nonsense that's going on. So thank you.
A true honor. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you too, and it's an honor to be here, and it was an honor to serve my country. I would do it again if I had to.
Amen.
Amen.